Good morning, ladies. My name is Eva with Ahas and Upgrades, and the School of Embodiment is Everything. Welcome. Welcome to my lesson of today. I have a lot of energy around money these days, so I want to share with you some of the things that I've embodied over my lifetime and to help you to either get unstuck or to kind of lean back a little bit to see if you're in some of these patterns. Number one, for many years, I didn't know that I had issues around money. And it took me a long time to figure that out. And my patterns were, I call it kind of like having a schizophrenic relationship with money. You get some, you're excited, you lose it, you're depressed, you don't know when the next is going to happen, you get some more. It could be a paycheck to paycheck kind of experience. But for me, I had these energies that were built around money, and I've said it before, it was like a dog chasing its fucking tail. It was terrible. But I realized a pattern that when it was time for me to pay big things, I found a way to make sure I had what I needed. But then something else would come up and would take the extra, or I would lose it. So I decided one day to see what I really understood about money. Ladies, we don't know what we don't know. And sometimes we try to pretend like we know more than we do, and we don't. I had to allow myself to pay attention to everyone that I was around to see if I knew what they knew. Some of us are afraid to admit that we don't know things, and then we go on years after years just stuck, and we can't move past that issue because we are keeping ourselves and holding ourselves back based on ego. So I realized one day the smartest people are the people who admit that they don't know everything. So I had to admit that I didn't know everything and to allow myself to gather information. So what I did, I started to be around people who had way more than I did. And then I observed. I closed my mouth and I paid attention. And I noticed those who were talking the loudest, I paid attention to them. And then I paid attention to those who were very quiet. And I gathered bits and pieces, and then I came up with my own idea about money, and then I embodied what I felt was the better way. All ways are right if you're going in the direction that you want to go. But if you're not going in the direction that you want to go, girlfriend, you need to take pause. So me allowing myself to be not the smartest person in the room, and for me to be vulnerable enough to say that I didn't know, I was able to learn. So the first thing that I want to teach you today, based on what I know now, a lot of people think that money means materialism, meaning you can buy things, and that's beautiful. I'm the first person who loves beautiful things. I love to live as well as I can. But I also know now that money equates to freedom, that money and cash are two different things. So some of us ladies, we are living paycheck to paycheck instead of looking at a full year of freedom and what that means. For me now, it means that my freedom is more important than the paycheck to paycheck. So I, like Einstein, I am not Einstein, I am my own way of being, which is based on Eva, my own abilities. But like Einstein, I now take, if I have 1 hour to try to figure out what is going on with myself or what is the problem, I spend now 55% of the 55 minutes of that hour thinking about the problem and how I got there, and then all of a sudden all I need is 5 minutes to come up with a solution. So what I've recognized as a problem for some of us ladies, we have not been taught. Our foundations, our fundamentals are not based on wealth, creating it, holding it, spending it. Our foundations, for most of us, is based on desperation. So our fundamentals and the foundation for us is a hell of a lot shaky. So what happens with some of us is if we get it, we're quick to spend it. We don't know how to hold it for freedom. We think freedom is materialism. But you want to know who really survives when shit hits the fan? The person who has been saving and creating value for freedom. So what does that look like? I'm not saying that you can't go to Sephora or take a beautiful vacation, but after that, what happens to you? What happens to you is where your mindset is. And some of us think that if our mindset is based on buying things, then we are in a wealth consciousness now. Sorta, kind of. But that still does not give us freedom. It still does not give us freedom. The next thing I want to share with you is wealth starts off with having more than you did yesterday. How many of us are thinking about how to have more than we did yesterday? Our blueprint, ladies, should be based on how to have more than you did yesterday. And then when you set yourself up where you can accumulate more than you did yesterday, then you can then attract the first class life that majority of people want. But I'm talking about ladies right now. So I ask you to really think about that. Are you attracting money for freedom? Is that mindset specifically for attracting for freedom? And freedom comes in all forms based on what you want. You're making the decision to live the life that you want. So that's freedom. Because I damn sure base my life now on freedom. So you're probably thinking, okay, Eva, I want to attract more, but I don't really know how to hold the vibration of freedom, of expansion, of more. Friend, it starts off with an idea and holding that in a container. And I call it a container or a box that is sacred just for you so that you can start to expand. A lot of us are starting off with a tiny little box or a tiny little container. It's not our fault, but it will be your fault if you decide to live that way for another 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 years. We don't know now how long we're going to live on this planet. Some of us may live a long time. I laugh and joke with my friends that I'm going to live to 138. But I mean that. But what I do now is I stretch day by day. And every time I stretch, I feel into that. I feel into what it feels like for me to have more. And then I really tap into that awareness of what's going on in my mind in that moment. So think about that. Those two things that we've talked about. Money equates to freedom. A lot of people, especially who have lots of resources, know this already. Some of us are just arriving to this. And if you're one of the people who don't know this, give yourself a little grace and really take the time to think, why don't I know that? And what am I going to do to change that? All we have to do, ladies, is change. That's it. Change it moment by moment. The second thing that I spoke about is wealth starts off with having more than you did yesterday. And you start to accumulate a stockpile of it. But more than you did yesterday. A lot of us are thinking that we have to have millions today. No, it's beautiful to have that. And if that is where your vector is pointing, beautiful idea too. But every day, it's a little more than you had yesterday. And the pot gets larger and larger and larger. Maybe you're starting off with $5 today. Some of us may be starting off with $50,000 today. Whatever it is, you get to decide. But every day you have more than you did yesterday. But you say, Eva, I have debt. Well, every day you pay some debt, but you still pay yourself so that you can build that wealth up that you are so deeply, from a heartfelt place, want. I also would like to offer you in this moment 2 things that I have going on. Is one, I have actually 3 things. My mini confidence course, and I talk about in that how to go from fear to courage and meet confidence where it's at. So bringing that other self and meeting where you're trying to go, and you guys merge together. I like to think of it as a twin. I have a twin. I have a twin that I have beside me, and this may sound weird, but it works, ladies. I have a twin of that person that I am becoming is walking beside me every day. And this person already has everything that I want, and I tune in and tap into that energy of that internal goddess, that twin, so that I can reach my fullest potential, day in and day out, moment by moment. So that's the first thing I have, my mini course. The second thing I have is another self-study course for women, and it's called Becoming Irresistible, Evolving as a Woman Through Feminine Frequencies and Emotional Control. And that one is also beautiful because it looks at really supercharging your self-worth. We all are worthy because we are from birth, but somehow we've lost some of that. So we allow ourselves to take the back seat over and over again. So this really helps you to see yourself in a whole new light. Also, August 23rd, I'm going to be in Dubai, and I'm going to have a 1-day intensive on August 23rd, and it's for women, and we're going to really talk about turning your high power on as a goddess, tapping into that internal frequency and seas that I know that are real, and they are real to me, and I help you to tap into that and to really tune into that intuitive side that talks to you constantly, that we sometimes don't want to hear what it says, but it's speaking. And right now I am working with my course, First Class Attractor, the energetics of money. I'm thinking about starting that every 2 weeks. It's a 4-week group program, so I may start that again in another 2 weeks, so that I can keep that in vibration and rotation for women. But that is all for today. So hopefully those 2 lessons and ideas will help you to tap into more of who you are and what you want. But that'll be it for today, ladies. I look forward to chatting with you later. Be well, and talk to you soon. Sign up, join the community, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.